So, we'll begin reading at Genesis chapter 20. Should have lesson 19, Abimelech and Abraham here. So, Abraham's going to fall into a sin. I saw that in the question as you answered them. Fall into a sin that he fell into before. Genesis chapter 20. And Abraham journeyed from thence toward the south country, and dwelled between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. And Abram said of Sarah his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech king of Gerar sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, Behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. But Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me, She is my sister? And she, even she herself, said, He is my brother. And the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this. And God said unto him in a dream, Yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thine heart. For I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. Now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know thou that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and told all these things in their ears, and the men were sore afraid. I'm going to stop right there for right now. Okay. So Abram had been living there in the plains of Mamre, if you remembered, and he could look out and see Sodom and Gomorrah being destroyed. Okay. But here Abram begins to journey towards the south. So he's going towards Egypt. Okay? And he dwelled between Kadesh and Shur. Now we know Kadesh Barnea, that's a place quite a bit further south, because eventually that's where the Israelites are going to be as they come out of Egypt, and they get about that far, and then they begin to wander in the wilderness. So we know that Kadesh is quite a bit south. Okay? And we don't know why he begins to move here. Maybe there's better pasture land that he was looking for. We don't know. Maybe there's trouble in other parts of the land. The Bible doesn't tell us. Okay? But as they begin to go there, Abraham, again with his wife Sarah, okay, begins to realize we're going into enemy country or a strange land. And men are going to look upon you and see how beautiful you are. One of the most beautiful women there are that they've seen. And they're going to desire to have you as their wife, because they don't look on the inner heart. They look on the outside, and they think beauty is important. And that's what they're going to be looking for in a wife. And they're going to want to marry you. And if they find out that we are married, well, they might decide to kill me or make something happen. Just like David had done. Okay, with Uriah the Hittite. Got it there, Joe. Just like with Uriah the Hittite. He wanted Bathsheba. Put Uriah in the front lines of battle so that he dies. Okay? Abraham knows something could happen to him. So they again agree on the same lie they had before, which was what? What do they agree on as a lie? Megan? Yeah, say you're my sister. Say you're my sister, because it's kind of the truth, you know. You're my half-sister. So just say you're my sister. Okay? And plan once again. Now, it's going to create some more trouble. Okay? You would think he would have learned his lesson from the first time, but it was not so. So, they come into the land, and who is the king of Gerar? Kenton. Abimelech. Abimelech is the king in this land, and again, Abraham is probably well known throughout most of the lands as a very wealthy, important man, so he's treated with respect. He's not a poor, lowly stranger who comes in with rags and the king would pay no attention to, but this is an important man, and so the king invites him in, or wants to see him, and along comes Sarah. And sure enough, Abimelech sees the beauty of Sarah. And he thinks, now there's a woman who will make a great queen, or there's a woman I'd like to have as one of my wives. I will take her in. He does just that. He takes Sarah. Again, we don't see Abraham saying no or don't go. We don't see anything happening there. Okay? But he sees her for her beauty. And then that night, God comes to Abimelech to prevent any bad things from happening. He comes to her by night and says, behold, thou art but a dead man for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. But Abimelech had not come near her. Okay? Abimelech had not taken her as his wife yet. And so, God steps in here. God prevents sin of adultery from being committed. And then he warns him, you're going to be dead. And of course Abimelech says, well, why? I don't know what's wrong with taking Sarah. He said it was his sister, and he is my brother. So we see Sarah also going along with the sin there too. She also said the same thing. So she also is just as guilty as her husband Abraham. And Abimelech says, I didn't know any better. In the integrity of my heart and the innocency of my hands have I done this. I didn't know these things. How was I supposed to know them? You can't punish me for what I didn't know. And God agrees with Abimelech. Says, yes, I know that thou didn't know these things, but now you do. Take her, put her away, send her out of thine house before anyone else may take her as his wife. Get rid of her. And if you don't, then I will visit you, and you will surely die. Okay? So that morning then, Abimelech arose early in the morning. Probably Sarah was in wherever she was sleeping. He let her sleep. And Abraham was probably in another part of the palace or wherever he was sleeping. But Abimelech calls his servants in and informs them of the terrible news. This woman, this Sarah that I brought in to possibly be my wife, she's another man. She is the wife of that man who she came with, she said was her brother. God visited me last night. I will surely die, and my kingdom will be destroyed probably because of that. And you will we must take care of this. We must rectify this situation right now. Okay? And so let's pick up there what happens between Abraham and Abimelech. Verse 9. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, what hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me and my kingdom a great sin? Thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? In other words, he's accused. What is there? What are you trying to prove? What is your goal? What were you hoping for? That you would lie to me, that you would put my kingdom in danger, my life in danger, just for a simple lie. Why did you not tell me the truth? Abraham says in verse 11, keep following here, and Abraham said, because I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. He says, the land here is an ungodly land. You don't care about obeying God's laws. You would rather have this beautiful woman to be your wife than to worry about killing me. And I was afraid for my life, so that's why I lied to you. Verse 12, and yet indeed she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, this is thy kindness, which thou shalt show unto me. At every place whither we shall come, say of me, he is my brother. So we see him give his explanation. It is not a good explanation. It is not a one that is permissive of this sin. It doesn't say, well, go ahead then. You can sin. It is still sin that Abraham has done here and Sarah has done. Okay? So it's a weak answer. But Abraham admits that we had agreed to do this a long time ago. But then, what happens? We saw in Egypt, Pharaoh kicked Abraham out. Pharaoh didn't want anything to do with this man who would dare lie to him. Kicked him out and gave him cattle and riches, gold and silver, and said, leave, get out of my land. I don't want you here anymore. So what does Abimelech do? Verse 14. And Abimelech took sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants and gave them unto Abraham and restored him Sarah his wife. So he does the same thing. He gives him large amounts of cattle. Because Abraham is a great man. Maybe he's doing this out of fear for him, or because God visited him. And he knows this is a man of God, and he gives them to him. And he restores him Sarah's wife, so he gives back Sarah. And Abimelech said, Behold, my land is before thee. Dwell where it pleaseth thee. So anywhere in the land that I rule, if you want a piece of it to stay with your cattle and your animals, you may. And unto Sarah he said, so Abimelech now is talking to Sarah, Behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes unto all that are with thee and to all others. And thus she was reproved. Abimelech shows a little bit of humor here. He's rubbing it in as though to say, okay, Sarah, I've given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. As though he's to say, I know he's not your brother. You lied to me, and I'm making sure you know that I know the lie. And it's not very funny. Okay? So it's as though he's rubbing it in here by saying, your brother, I give your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Okay? So he rubs it in. And that's why it says, thus she was reproved. She was, in a sense, told, you also, Sarah, have sinned. Verse 17, so Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservants, and they bare children. For the Lord had fast closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Now we see that, I find that very interesting, because it doesn't seem like much time has passed that Sarah has been there, but maybe it has. The Bible doesn't tell us exactly how long. But for a time, because of Sarah's and Abraham's sin of lying and Sarah entering the house, the wombs of Abimelech's wives and the people in the land were closed up. None of them were able to become pregnant, to have children. And it's not until we see that Abraham prayed to God that God healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservant so that they could begin once again bearing children. God had closed up their wombs because of this sin. And now they're again. So how long did that last for? How long did that take? That makes it very interesting. But I would say there's a couple lessons that we can learn from here. Obviously, as we did before, lying. Joel, sit up there. Lying. We don't need to lie, okay, to get our way. Usually it will cause more trouble to lie. Okay? And also, look at how Abimelech handled Abraham. When others sin against us, that's how we should act too. Abimelech was still kind to him, was still gracious to him. Okay? And that's a good lesson for us as well. So on your sheets there, what lie does Abraham tell a second time? Most of you had that there, that Sarah is his sister. What does it mean, though, to be self-righteous? You see that a little bit here, to be self-righteous. Kenton? You love yourself, but there's another part of it. Yes, you think you're right at everything, you're the best, but it also means you also then have to do something else. Jennifer? Yeah, that's getting a little bit different. I know what you're saying. I know you're using self and righteous there and a good idea, but we're looking for something a little bit different. Not that you're trying to earn your own salvation, although that is a good idea. Logan? No, to be self-righteous, not only we have to take what Kenton said, you think you're the best, you think you're the know-it-all, but part of being self-righteous then is also telling everyone else what they're doing wrong. Okay? You don't know how to do that, or you're wicked and sinful. You shouldn't be doing those things, but I can do them. They're sins for you, but for me it's all right to do. Okay? And we see that here once again. Abraham thinks, well, to lie is wrong, but I can go ahead and do it because right now it's more important for me to do it to stay alive. Okay? That's what it means to be self-righteous. All right, and then how is God's way of informing Abimelech that Sarah is Abraham's wife different from how he let Pharaoh know? How did Pharaoh find out? You remember? How did Pharaoh discover that they were husband and wife? Colin? No, Sarah didn't tell him. What did Pharaoh observe? All right, they're acting as husband and wife. He could see them from a far ways off in his palace. And he knew that they were not brother and sister, but they're husband and wife. Here, it's different. God comes to Abimelech and speaks to him explicitly and says, here's what you need to know before anything bad happens. And then why does Abimelech treat Abraham different than Pharaoh did after learning of the lie? Probably, again, we see that Abimelech knew that he's a man of God. Maybe even from a sense, Abimelech knew that this is how a man of God should be treated. And maybe Abimelech had respect for God's people. Maybe we can even say that he was a man of God himself, because we come and see that too. So, God here works that way in Abimelech. He acts like a God-fearing, upright man by giving Abraham those riches and not being mean. So he's a man of integrity. He's honest. And he was innocent of doing anything wrong until he found out. All right. So Abraham and Abimelech. And then we'll begin to see next time, start working towards the birth of Isaac.